UKIP leader Nigel Farage. And a very good morning to you, Mr. Farage. Just want to start because, you know, there's this poster you unveiled last week of the EU being at breaking point with a number of refugees and asylum seekers that are coming into it. We've had a lot of reaction to that, I'm sure you're aware, this morning. Let's just hear some of it.
We contributed nothing relevant, nothing positive. Farage should withdraw that poster. It's got nothing to do with what's motivating 99.99% of people who have voted Leave or are thinking of voting Leave. And he's trying to play on fears. It's highly inappropriate.
I didn't like the poster. I think, you know, in the tone of the debate I would like to see conducted over the next few days, let me just say that I didn't like the poster.
Okay, I think
that's the key point, that even people on the Leave campaign are uncomfortable with that poster.
It's wrong. It's the wrong poster, it was the wrong approach, it's the wrong view.
Well, when I saw that poster, I shuddered. I thought it was the wrong thing to do.
The poster that Nigel Farage unveiled last week was vile and racist, and I know you're going to be speaking to him later on, and I hope he does agree today to withdraw that poster, because that kind of sentiment has no place in a civilised debate.
I say Nigel Farage is here with me. Well, let's deal with Nicola Sturgeon. That violent racist, withdraw it. Let's have a look at it as well. We can get it up on screen.
I can reassure John Mann, this was the first of 6 posters for the last week of the campaign. And it was a one-day poster. It was the only poster that was actually talking about the European Union itself. That's why it said in it, the EU is failing us all. And actually, if you live within the Eurozone, you would say it's failing you. And if you see what Chancellor Merkel did last summer by saying, just come in unlimited numbers, so we do not want to stay part of a union that is failing in every regard.
But we're not in the Eurozone, nor ever likely to be, as you know.
But we're members of a political union, and the problem we have, not being in the Eurozone, fine, but we're actually in a permanent minority at the Council of Ministers. So what we were saying there was that the EU, and Mrs Merkel in particular, has failed very badly. It's a complete statement of fact about last year.
In terms of the Leave campaign, it has rather split you when Chris Grayling, two senior figures in it, Chris Grayling said it's plain wrong. Michael Gove said he shuddered when he saw it.
Well, Michael Gove better look at his own posters. Pictures of Abu Hamza, warnings about terrorists and murderers coming into Britain at free will. Look, what has happened here is we have had a tragic event in British politics, and everybody over the last couple of days, you know, we've been trying to say, all of us say and do nothing over the last couple of days. That poster reflects the truth of what's going on. We've a new poster coming out tomorrow morning, and we'll unveil a different poster for every day of the campaign.
You won't withdraw that poster?
Well, that was a one-day poster. That's the point I'm making. So that poster.
But you can say, I wish we hadn't unveiled it.
I wish an innocent member of Parliament had not been gunned down in the street. OK, that's the point. And frankly,
I think we all wish that. Of course we do.
Had that not happened, I don't think we would have had the kind of row that we've had over it.
No, we would, Mr Farage, with respect, because isn't there an implication in that poster that those people who, by and large, if we can judge from them, we understand that they were leaving Croatia to head into Slovenia, that they are would-be asylum seekers, they're not economic migrants.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't agree with that at all. I've said from the start of this that the European Union, Juncker got the policy wrong, Merkel compounded it. The vast majority of people who have come into the Schengen zone would never qualify as refugees under any traditional measure.
Okay, but Schengen zone, Eurozone, not the UK. Those people can never come to the UK.
Well, they can if they get EU passports in years to come. But the point is...
In years to come, many years to come. They may get residency. But you understand the rules. Even if Germany allows them to have long-term residency, they still cannot travel to the UK. The UK, Ireland and Denmark have an absolute veto on that.
Until they get EU passports, then there's no veto at all. The problem is we're losing sight of what this is really all about. You tell me we're opted out of this, we're opted out of that. We are members of a political union. The majority of our laws now get made by that union. Their court in Luxembourg overrules the British Parliament, overrules the British courts, and we have effectively no border controls to 500 million people. And this referendum, in 4 days' time, is about one very simple question. Do we wish to govern ourselves or be part of that political union?
How nervous are you about Thursday? It's a culmination of a life's work, I suppose, for you.
Well, I put a few years into this, yes, over 20. I think I think people out there that have made their minds up that we should govern our own country, we should control our own borders, we should be in charge of our destiny, I'm certain they're going to go out and vote on Thursday.
And we've been talking, haven't we, obliquely about Joe Cox. Let's talk about it directly. I mean, first of all, the sadness, the awfulness of the event, but you believe it's taken the momentum out of the Leave campaign?
Out of the whole campaign is what I said. There was a big momentum developing right across the country, a tragic death, a pause. Very difficult to know or to see in the next 3 or 4 days where either of the campaigns go in terms of the public once again connecting with it. Difficult to tell.
What do you think, in a way? I mean, the arguments have all been made ad infinitum, and, let's just have the vote on Thursday.
It could be that it makes little difference. I don't know. I think it's very difficult to call. I do think one thing, it's going to be very close on Thursday, I think, whatever happens.
But what do you make of these latest opinion polls, putting Remain back in the lead again?
Well, some of the polling experts say that was beginning to happen before the tragedy. Others are less sure. I don't think any of us know. At the end of the day, it's about who goes down to vote on Thursday.
But I asked you about how worried you are because you watched, I know, with interest, the Scottish independence referendum. You saw that there was a Leave poll that put them ahead, and then people began to think really, really hard, do I really want to do this? Do you see a similar effect taking place now, that people think they want to leave?
I don't, because that in the end was based on the economic argument, that the SNP's argument was based on oil and $113 a barrel, whereas this economic argument, and albeit it's a subset of who governs Britain, but this economic argument, do you know, when the Chancellor told us that every household could be worse off by thousands of pounds, 70% of the electorate did not believe it. So I don't think that us being told we'd be worse off outside the European Union is really having that bigger effect.
But the Prime Minister's addressed that today, hasn't it? It's about who's telling you, and we've discussed this before. I know legions of experts inside the United Kingdom, international experts. And, he had likened it to a mechanic who knows about cars and looking at a car and saying, this is a defective car, the brakes and other things don't work, and you're still encouraging people to put their children in it. They can't all be wrong, can they?
The defective car is the one that's got the euro, is the one that had the madness of Merkel's policy last year, is the one where Eurosceptic groups on the right, centre and left in every country are springing up. We've got a chance to get off the train before it hits the buffers. It's going to be the greatest opportunity of our lives to take back our pride, our self-respect, our independence, and I hope, again, our place in the world. And I don't think lining up a load of experts who are using a completely false economic model or being threatened by the Chancellor actually works.
And also the Prime Minister saying today there are 3 basic lies at the heart of the Leave campaign. This issue of the amount of money that the UK gives to the European Union, the £350 million. Well, not true. That Turkey is somehow imminently about to join the European Union, and that there's going to be a European army.
Right. We pay £34 million a day net to be an EU member. That's nearly £10 billion a year. That is too much. On Turkey, Mr Cameron has been the biggest champion of Turkey joining the European Union, and on March the 18th, he was part of an accord of Prime Ministers and Presidents saying, let's accelerate the membership process.
The French and the Germans saying it won't happen. If they're saying it won't happen, it won't happen.
Well, of course they're saying it. They're trying to help their mate Dave because there's a referendum 4 days away. And as far as the European army is concerned, they could not be clearer. They want a European army, and next week they're going to start formal discussions in terms of putting it together.
Let me ask you about what Sylvie Berman, the French ambassador to the UK, said to me about an hour ago, talking about the border force officials, the UK border based on French soil there in northern France, in the Pas-de-Calais. She's saying, well, that could easily go. So all the people who are there and waiting and trying to get to the UK, the French aren't going to do much to stop them.
Well, the relevant French ministers have said nothing of the kind. But look, we're going to get all sorts of threats. We're going to be told in the next 4 days the border will go in Calais. They won't trade with us. We're going to get all of this. Actually, the British, being in Calais, doing passport checks, has saved France a very great deal of money. And I think it's... because otherwise they would have to have done the job. We're doing it for them. We've saved them a lot of time and money over the course of the last few years. If at any point in the future our border went back to Dover and Folkestone, we would just police our border, and people without reason to come into Britain would go back to France and give them an even bigger headache.
OK, well, let's get back to the next few days then. So this poster, I think we have now got it again. Let's have a look at it again. So we're not going to see this. We're not going to see this this poster of the refugees trying to get into. Oh, well, we are going to see it again, but we're not going to see it. There we are, breaking point. We're not going to see that again. You're saying it has been withdrawn.
No, it was a one-day poster. I've got 6 posters, and you'll see the next one tomorrow morning in the national press and online, and the next posters are all about this country, not the wider point I was making there about the European Union failing us all.
But failing on immigration.
On immigration, failing terribly. On economics, with the euro particularly, failing terribly.
OK, but what is tomorrow's poster? Is it more about migration to the UK?
Doesn't mention it, no. Tomorrow's poster is actually about the centre of this debate. Do we want to be part of a political union? Let's not pretend this is a trade bloc. It's a political union with full legal authority, or would we rather have our own independent identity?
But do you accept that as it appears now, you have lost the arguments, that the economic argument versus the migration argument seems to be winning out?
I think we need to be very robust in the next 4 days, pointing out that actually Britain's deal with the EU now is rotten. If 40 years ago there was a good reason to get involved with something that gave us tariff-free access to the European market, that in a world of high tariffs, economically, may have made sense. Now, global tariffs have gone down, and for the benefit of that, we pay a big fee. We have to regulate the 88% of our industry that is not involved with European exports. This is a bad deal.
Future for you? Maybe the House of Lords?
I don't know what I'm going to do after Thursday. I would just like to win on Thursday.
OK, Nigel Farage, very good to see you. Thank you very much indeed. The UKIP leader there, and that's all for this.